Hey, good morning everybody, and welcome to the vlog. I hope the start of your day is incredible. Of course, we are starting it with Ben and Jerry here, my two-headed snake. And you know, it's pretty awesome to have a two-headed snake. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. We've had Ben and Jerry for almost 2 years now, which is pretty good. He's about 4 years old now, just shy of 4 years. And typically, when a two-headed snake is born, it is pretty tough to keep them alive. I'm not going to lie to you. But then once they hit adulthood, like Ben and Jerry, they typically live a full life. I mean, I've heard of two-headed snakes that are 20, 25 years old, so I'm hoping that Ben and Jerry are going to be around for another, you know, maybe 15, 18, 20 plus years, because people absolutely love him here. But trust me guys, getting Ben and Jerry and going on this journey definitely was not an easy one. And one point of that tragic journey actually ended up right here with the two-headed snake in alcohol. But the journey started many, many years before that. And to really understand the entire quest I've had for two-headed animals, we have to go back to when I was just a kid. And I was just obsessed the first time that I saw a two-headed snake. Well, when I was 20 years old, I had an albino black rat snake, just like this one here, that actually produced. Again, I was only a couple years into my career, probably produced maybe 50 clutches of snakes that year, and I had my first two-headed albino black rat snake. And I was over the moon. I mean, again, these were $25 for albino black rats wholesale at the time, and a two-headed snake was worth like 15 grand. Well, you know, I wanted to keep it so bad, but again, 20 years old, 15 grand is a lot of money. Someone offered me that money for it, and reluctantly I sold it, thinking that, you know what, I produce a bunch of snakes. I'm going to produce a ton of two-headed snakes in my career. I can sell this snake and not worry about the next snake I'll keep, right? So I thought that's what was going to happen. Well, honestly, over the last, 30-something years since then, I have actually produced 6 or 7 two-headed snakes. Check this out. This is freaking exciting. These are just T-positive and albino Nelsons, but this one is definitely got a little extra special thing going on with it. Do you see that, guys? There's actually 2 heads. That's right. It's a two-headed T-positive albino Nelson. But not even one of them has lived more than a month. Most of them have lived 1 or 2 days and died. So back when I was 20 years old and I thought that, hey, I'd produce another one, it was a sad story and I never produced another one that lived. And by the way, that animal ended up growing up and living for like 20 years. It was on Animal Planet. It ended up all over the place. It was sold like 5 or 6 times. I think the last time it was sold to the Venice Freak Show, and I think they paid $50,000 for it. So yeah, I was regretting that decision, and that might have really spurred on my obsession to replace it with another two-headed snake. And like you saw, over the years I produced a handful of two-headed animals, but again, they just never lived, and it was really a bummer, you know? But my quest for the two-headed snake didn't end there. About 5.5 years ago, someone reached out to me and they had a Mexican black king snake, just like this one right here. The only difference was it had 2 heads. I don't know how this even packs, so I don't know if I'm going to see it right off the bat or not. Wouldn't you know it? Bunch you just killed me with anticipation. Oh! There he is! Oh my gosh. Look at that little monkey. Oh my gosh. Lori, look at that. Is that thing cute or what? Oh my god. Yeah, I know, I'm gonna try. I gotta, guys, I think I'm gonna start to hyperventilate any second. What did I do with my razor blade? Oh my god. I'm shaking right now. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna cut my, snake breeder dies from self-inflicted razor blade wound, cutting open a snake box. Oh, look at this, oh god. Take a look, I want you guys to see this right as I'm opening it. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Oh, oh my gosh. Look at this thing. Oh my god. Now it was only a few months old, but it had been feeding on its own. Now I just thought, let's jump into it. Let's do it. I wanted a two-headed snake so bad that I went ahead and I purchased the animal. And I'll be honest with you, it ate for me right off the bat and it seemed to be doing well. And it even made it onto the IFL science page, believe it or not. But unfortunately, just like so many of the two-headed snakes, again, the mortality rate is so high. After a few months, it just literally one day opened the cage and it had died. It literally broke my heart. And I often wondered at that point, was that the end of my quest for a two-headed snake? I didn't know if I was ready to step up and do it again, to be honest with you. For the next few years, I'll be honest with you, I was almost thinking about giving up on my dream of having a two-headed snake. It was just really emotionally damaging, to be totally honest with you. And then I got a phone call about Laverne and Shirley. Oh my gosh, guys. Take a look. And I know you guys are saying, like, you bought an albino corn snake? Well, the truth is, this albino corn snake is a little bit different than a normal albino corn snake. Take a look at this, guys. Oh my gosh! It is the most adorable little thing I've ever seen. That's right, guys, it's a two-headed snake. And I've actually been working on getting this guy for the last like 4 months. So this has been a long time in the making. And I always try to tell people to try to take the emotion out of business, right? But I'm gonna be totally honest with you. The emotion got the best of me on this one. I went down to Texas to get that animal and I saw that it was 8 months old, and you can see it's not much bigger than a baby, right? And that should have told me, Brian, stay away from it. It was $15,000. Like I said, they're typically between $15,000 and $30,000. This one was 15 grand, and I should have just walked away from it. But I was like, no, I want this animal, and I just couldn't walk away. I ended up buying the animal, got it back here, and I'll be honest with you, the first time we offered it food, 3 or 4 days later, it ate. Unfortunately, literally 10 days after I got it, I opened up the cage, and they were dead. So there it is. I mean, how freaking exciting is that she ate? Oh my God, I've always said that that first meal is so important with any animal that you're getting, especially a two-headed animal. I was told she ate, but you know what? I was still nervous. I thought, what if she doesn't eat? And when I first offered, she was a little reluctant. I thought, oh no, it's gonna be horrible. But then she ate, and how incredible was that? And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I still don't know why that I preserved these guys. I've never preserved any animal ever in my entire life. But the first thing that happened, I was so just like distraught. I was like, I've got to save these somehow just so I could keep looking at it. And now a few years later, it's kind of the first time I've taken a look at them again. I'm not going to lie to you. The pain has hurt so much I just didn't even want to look at them. But it is kind of cool that now I can actually put them maybe on my desk or something like that and look at them, because it is pretty cool. Don't get me wrong. I wish they would live and I wish they were adults. But at least I have some remembrance of them. And honestly, guys, at this point, I really did think the two-headed quest was over. I'm not sure how I continued on, because to be honest with you, after Laverne and Shirley, I really did truly think I was done. And what I had basically said was I would never buy a baby two-headed snake again. I said the only two-headed snake I'd ever buy was an adult. Now, I did have a friend that hatched a California king snake that you guys might know the name of by any chance. That was about 1.5 years old, but he was refusing to sell it to me. And I thought that unless he did it or someone else came up with an adult two-headed snake, I wasn't going to go through that pain and tragedy again of buying a baby. And then someone reached out to me with a high white, black and white Cal King that had 2 heads. Now, it didn't really have a lot of potential, to be honest with you. It had some kinks, it had not fed, but the difference is that, like I had mentioned, they're typically $15,000 to maybe $30,000. In this case, the guy was like, listen, I'll give it to you for $1,500 if you want to take the chance. Now, I'm not saying that $1,500 isn't a lot of money, but I thought, well, if it lived, that would be a steal. And if it died, it would really suck, but at least I gave it a shot. I had to decide was, could I actually fathom having someone else buy that snake in 2 or 3 years from now, seeing Cookies and Cream as an adult, and it wasn't mine. So you know what? I took the risk and I went ahead and I went and bought Cookies and Cream. Well, let's go ahead and take a look. Oh, it sure is a beauty, huh? Look at that little guy. Oh my gosh. I tell you what, they look absolutely amazing. I mean, it's a beautiful snake with just one head. It would be a beautiful snake. You can definitely see that the heads are pretty close together. And this one on the left seems to be a little bit tilted down and to the side. You know, I think my only concern is that, you know, their heads are so close together, will they be able to eat? Took an initial look at the animal. I mean, number one, it looks extremely healthy. I mean, really good tongue flicks. The heads are a little bit closer together than what I would like, to be totally honest with you. They have a slight tilt down, but there doesn't seem to be any really major deformities. Again, has not fed. Do you take the risk? I'm gonna do it. But like I had mentioned, Cookies and Cream literally, I thought, had a 99.9% chance of not surviving because of the kinks, the way the heads were too close together. The mouths were almost joined together. I thought there was a very little chance, but I was willing to give it a go. It never ate. Even when I assist fed it, it would regurgitate it, and it really didn't last long. So it wasn't that much of a surprise, but just another tragedy in my quest to get a two-headed snake. I'm really not sure that there's a difference between perseverance and being really stubborn, but the fact is that I wanted a two-headed snake, or two-headed animals for that matter. And remember I told you I had a friend that hatched out a two-headed Cal King? Well, that's right, it was Ben and Jerry. And what ended up happening was that he didn't want to sell it, not because he wanted to do anything with it, it was just his pet. He hatched out and he loved it, and it was just sitting in his office. But what happened was when he saw pictures of the reptarium when we first opened up, he called me up and said, Brian, I know you've been trying to buy this for almost 2 years now. I saw pictures of the reptarium. I think it belongs at the reptarium. And we worked out a deal, and I went down to Ohio, and I finally picked up Ben and Jerry. And ever since, they have been doing amazing, and they've been warming the hearts of children and adults that have come to the reptarium ever since. But more importantly, they have warmed my heart, because now having it for almost 2 years without a tragedy, it's been pretty freaking awesome. And you guys probably remember that my obsession for two-headed snakes didn't stop with snakes. It also was two-headed turtles. And I had my share of tragedy with those guys too. I ended up with Rick and Morty that actually did very well, but then ended up with a tragedy with a filter incident. And then I had a couple other two-headed turtles that just didn't thrive. Well, finally we ended up getting Chopsticks. And Chopsticks was a pretty well-established two-headed turtle. And we ended up keeping at BHP for about 6 months to make sure that they got big, and they about doubled their size, and they are thriving. And in the last few weeks we moved them over to the reptarium, and I'm telling you what, they have been doing so well over here, and kids and everyone love them when they come in. Definitely, two-headed turtles are as much of a hit as two-headed snakes. In the end, you might ask why I have an obsession with two-headed snakes, two-headed turtles, two-headed lizards if I ever get the opportunity to buy them, and it's really about education, right? Number one, I think they're amazing animals, but number two, it really breaks the ice. You know, when someone comes into the reptarium or I'm doing an educational type of event and I show them a two-headed turtle or a two-headed snake, even people that might not be interested are like, what? That has two heads? And it starts the conversation, right? I can start talking to them about reptiles and they are paying attention, right? And it's a way to get people to kind of start loving reptiles. It's an attraction, right? Both Ben and Jerry and Chopsticks are an attraction that people come to see, and then ultimately, even when they're not that interested in reptiles, they become more interested. That's the reason I get those, and that's the reason I want all kinds of really interesting animals, is ultimately just to get people to love these animals as much as I do. And there you have it. I hope that I'll have these two-headed animals and more two-headed animals for the rest of my career. Certainly Ben and Jerry should be around for another 18 years or something like that, and so should Chopsticks. So it's pretty amazing. If you enjoyed this video, here's a playlist. I'd love for you to just click 1 or 2 videos. It helps me tremendously. Please do that for me. You can also subscribe to my podcast channel right up here, checking in. I hope that you'll enjoy that. On this side, we are getting close to 3 million. Can you hit that subscription button for me? Turn your post notifications on. Have an absolutely wonderful day. Remember, be kind to somebody, and I promise I'll see you tomorrow.